Thanks, Matt. We will check back in. Well, the jury in former President Donald Trump's hush money trial in New York has found him guilty on all counts, making him the first former president in U.S. history to be convicted of a crime that Trump violated the law by falsifying business records to cover up a $130,000 payment to adult film star Stormy Daniels before the 2016 election. They found him guilty on all 34 counts that he faced. The verdict was handed down in the Manhattan courtroom where Trump has been on trial for the past 6 weeks. The presumptive Republican nominee for president is now also a convicted felon. Now, the jury sided with prosecutors who said that Trump authorized the plan to falsify checks and related records in an effort to prevent voters from learning of an alleged sexual encounter with Daniels. Prosecutors for Manhattan District Attorney Alvin Bragg said that the conspiracy spanned his 2016 campaign and continued well into his first year in the White House. Trump denied having sex with Daniels and pleaded not guilty. And within the last 20 minutes, Louisiana Senator Bill Cassidy sent out this statement on the Trump verdict. It reads, quote, "Given the way the defense was conducted, the trial was managed, the jury was instructed, and the DA's desire to fulfill a campaign promise, the guilty verdict was not surprising. The jury was led to believe that 2 misdemeanors make a felony and that a state court could enforce federal law. None of this seems right. The rule of law should apply equally to both parties. I disagree with the verdict," end quote. CBS Evening News will have complete coverage on the verdict, including what Trump had to say once he left the court.